Feed your future self with magic internet money.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who made it through this whole episode, who's kind of like a noob in the space, that maybe is just like most people saw maybe a news article or heard about these cryptocurrencies going up so much and thinks like, oh, I can buy some of these coins and get rich, and maybe they got chilled like XRP or something because it's a lower market cap and a lower price. Their mentality is maybe like, oh, I know Bitcoin's probably going to win, but I need to like 10x my money right away, you know, like,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that are motivated with that mindset and they want to mine these low cap coins or they want to buy these lower mid cap coins. And there's apparently these big Twitter communities. What do you think is the best advice for somebody like that who's not a professional trader?
Like, what's my advice for someone who wants to 10x their money in 6 months and they have no idea, they've never made an investment? What's my advice for those guys? That's
not like, how can you, like, what do you think is like the rational explanation for somebody that is just gonna in that mode? Because there's a lot of people like that.
Right. So I would say, so look, I don't see any fundamental reason why there would be another rally like the altcoin rally we saw in 2017. I just don't see why that will happen anytime soon. The mainstream people, enough mainstream people got burnt out that it's not going to be that easy for that to happen again. You know, this was on the news, on TV. Everyone saw that people got wrecked. That's not something that people forget that fast. You know, the previous altcoin runs we had in 14, 15, most people didn't know they exist. But now, you know, everyone knows. And everyone knows someone who got wrecked trading Ripple, right? So I don't think it could have the same effect. This crowd of mainstream people who would have pumped the prices up, I don't think they would do it again. So if you're looking for 10x, I don't think that's where you're going to find them. So what you're left with, if you're still interested, after I turned off your dreams of becoming rich in 3 months, if you're still interested, I would say probably just dollar cost average into Bitcoin slowly while you're learning about it. And if after 1 year you're still interested for some reason, then you can start looking into cryptocurrencies, because I'm pretty sure they're going to wait. I'm not sure they're going to run away from you. I don't think they're going to run away from you in a year. So start dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. That's the best you can do if you committed to learn about this. Because otherwise, I don't think it's worth it. If you're not going to learn about this and find kind of your passion in it, or at least your some attraction in it, something that, you know, even if it's financially, some reason that you're attracted to it, then you probably won't stick around and you won't be able to hodl when, you know, things get rough. Because you know what happens, you buy into Bitcoin or whatever when you're excited, and then prices start to collapse and you don't really have any idea what's going on. So you're just going to sell at the bottom probably. The only way to avoid selling the bottoms is to feel confident enough, and for that you have to spend some time, you know, researching about it. So if you're not going to do that, then I would say stay away, because you're basically committing to sell the bottom when it comes, which is not a good idea.
That's good advice, and I think that's probably the majority of people. Like, that happened to a lot of people in the 2017 run. They came in, they got excited, they bought coins, and they just didn't know how to manage risk. And then by the time everything bottomed out, that's when you capitulate.
And you don't have any reason to stick around, because you really don't know what's even going on. So you just obviously capitulate because you really don't have a choice.
So if this person listens and they're like, okay, that makes sense, but they're still like, I'm just going to hold these shit coins anyways, just in case. Like, do you think there's any sensible risk management like strategy for altcoin gambling?
If I thought that there's value in holding shitcoins, and I don't think that, but again, we said maybe I'm wrong. So if I thought that there is, probably what I would do is get exposure to shitcoins, I don't know, across the range, I guess, and hedge by shorting ETH, because I think that if there's a shitcoin run, then I think the others will perform better than ETH will. And otherwise, if they're going down, then at least you have the ETH short that would kind of offset some of your losses.
That's a pretty smart strategy. So how does someone learn about shorting ETH? Because it's not like a common knowledge on how to short ETH. Or short any cryptocurrency in general.
Right. So the problem is when you get into shorting, that means that you get into leveraged trading, and there's more risk there. You have to understand how it works. So that's a little more involved than just buying and holding.
So just follow Tony Vase or what?
No. You should probably. I mean, no. I mean, I don't know. I actually don't follow Tone's advice myself, so I don't know what he's saying. But I mean, I would say you definitely have to learn how shorts work. Yeah, obviously, if you want to.
Are there any good podcasts or anything about crypto trading that you'd recommend?
I don't know. There probably are, but I don't know them.
Yeah, I can't think of any either.
I'm actually not that much of an avid podcast listener. I every once in a while I see something that seems really interesting, so I give it a listen, but there's no podcast I listen to regularly.
Well, you know what? That's a good strategy, though. It's a good risk management strategy. It makes sense. If you really want to become like an altcoiner, then at least protect yourself by shorting ETH.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds funny, but I think it's at least the way that, obviously it's not going to work forever, but the way things are right now, it seems like ETH is on track to underperform other assets. So
yeah, if you hold Bitcoin for long term and then you gamble with some altcoins for the lever up, if an alt season happens and these altcoins get like 2 or 3x more gain or higher than Bitcoin, if that happens, then even if you lose on your ETH short, if ETH goes up too and you lose on your ETH short, you're not going to be as wrecked,
right? Exactly.
as if you just we're just gambling all in the altcoins.
Yeah.
So I guess it's all about managing risk, and I guess a good book for that I could recommend for people that really want to start learning about it would be Trend Following, the book by Michael Covell. It's a really easy, down to earth book for anyone of any skill level to kind of learn about how a basic risk management trading strategy, how you can kind of comprehend easily how to follow trends and follow markets and not just become a community member and a bag holder and get wrecked. Another one would be the same author, The Turtle Trader. Turtle Trader, it's called?
Sure, yeah.
Good book.
The known one, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's good. I like a lot of his books. He's also got a podcast. I've listened to it occasionally, but now it's more about politics and stuff than it is about trading. Michael Covell. Yeah, I guess some final advice would be don't become a community member.
I want to make sure that it's clear that none of this is advice of any kind. I would advise people to stay away.
Yeah, don't actually start trying to short coins if you don't know what you're doing.
If you have to, like, if you really want to get involved, then
if you're already in the shitcoin game and you're just not heeding our advice to just hold Bitcoin and just learn about Bitcoin, and you just can't help yourself, then at least learn how to short ETH.
Yeah.
And avoid becoming a community member of any of these coins, because you'll probably just get muted by me and Udi.
Yeah, and also you'll become a zombie. That's not good. I mean, that's a problem in Bitcoin too, but I think that one of the things that the Bitcoin community, well, it's not the Bitcoin community, but I don't know, at least the narratives on Twitter right now, I think one of the things that we kind of have going for us, I guess, is that we happened to stumble upon a narrative that isn't completely insane. So even if people are following it blindly and not putting a lot of critical thought into it, at least it's not completely insane like some of the other narratives are, like everyone's going to use apps on the blockchain narrative, it's just absolutely insane. Just if you follow that idea religiously, then obviously you're going to have a bad time because it's batshit crazy.
Yeah, or the Ripple narrative that all the banks in the world are going to start using Ripple.
Yeah.
What are the other narratives? I mean, there's some ridiculous narratives. Ripples, ETHs, even Litecoin. Like Litecoin is going to be the silver to Bitcoin's gold, and people are going to use that because it's faster and cheaper. Like, that just doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it makes much more sense than people going to use instant messaging apps on Ethereum.
And then because of that, Ethereum's going to go to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Those two things are just doesn't work. And the Litecoin, that's interesting. Litecoin is pretty down there on the list of shitcoins right now, but Litecoin is much closer to flipping Ethereum than Ethereum is to flipping Bitcoin.
Oh, right, yeah.
So even one of those, unlikely contenders like Litecoin, they have a much better chance. And Litecoin has some good things going for it. The supply it's not going to grow, and Ethereum's supply definitely is going to grow. it has some things going for it.
The only altcoins that I find have decent narratives are like the privacy. Well, mostly like Grin, Monero, and I don't know, any of the tokens that kind of have good economics, and also they just are saying like we're just like for privacy, this is what we do with privacy. They've shown so far that they're not going to go up in price. Like they keep refusing to go up in price, but
Oh yeah.
at least that's not insane. Like that's not a narrative that doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense. People like their privacy.
Yeah, I mean, do they though? Because
Yeah, you're right. The Bitcoiners like our privacy. Like
we like to feel good about it. I think most
a
people
small
don't.
niche of people like their privacy.
It's
Otherwise,
a
people
very,
would not.
very small niche.
People
Very
wouldn't be
small.
using Facebook
Exactly.
and Google if they like their privacy.
Yeah.
So you're right about that.
And you're gonna face some problems too, because that's the thing. If people always say that Monero will be, or one of the other ones will rise to greatness when countries or governments clamp down on Bitcoin, but that just doesn't make sense, because if they clamp down on Bitcoin, they're not going to be happy about Monero, right? So what's obviously, if they're not going to let people deposit Bitcoins to exchanges unless they show where they came from, then obviously they're not going to let people deposit Monero to exchanges without showing where they came from. So what's the point? What benefit does that bring?
Mhm.
So if that's just about the black markets, then fine, you can use Bitcoin on black markets right now and you can mix it and whatever. Some people do that. I would probably more people do that with Bitcoin than they do that on Monero. So it just doesn't seem like a solution to me to any real problem. It's it's nice. It's nice to know that by default you kind of keep some privacy, but probably most people don't care about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree there. There's a lot of them too that I just don't even like. Stellar is like, oh, we're XRP, but not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I can't explain those.
Tezos is like,
yeah,
we're Bitcoin, but not really, but with staking.
Yeah, most of those I can't begin to explain.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think you got it right there that as long as you don't become a community member, and even in Bitcoin, like try to sort of keep your wits about you and don't just blindly start screaming hodl and all these things. Like think critically about everything. Think critically about Bitcoin, think critically about the Liquid network, think critically about Lightning. Don't just become a cheerleader for Bitcoin either if someone is listening to this and just kind of like a new person to the space. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then you might lose followers if you become a neutral party. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure that this should be someone's goal in life. If you if you join Bitcoin or whatever, if you join the space to make money, then do what you need to do to make money. Don't think about how many followers you have, unless that helps you make money, I guess.
Right.
Maybe it could work. I'm tweeting a lot about how Ethereum is shit, and some people are definitely tired of it, but not everyone.
Are you finding that people are, because you grown your followers quite a bit over the last year, where most people have been in a bear market of followers? I find it really interesting and entertaining, and I think it's fun, and I follow you and like a lot of your tweets and stuff, but I'm a Bitcoiner and I'm kind of a centrist, so I kind of get what you're doing and I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But do you get Bitcoiners that are like, oh, you're going to turn into Kevin Pham? Like, do they think you're serious and that you're actually going to join the Tron army and stuff?
Yeah, sure. Some, not a lot, but some people think that, sure. I mean, I get hate from across the board from everyone. But obviously a lot of Ethereum people are pissed off at me. Like, I think that I take a very significant dream time from a lot of Ethereum people. I think that it's like 20 minutes a night that they dream about me in bad context. For some of them, I'm pretty sure about that one. But also, yeah, sure. I some Bitcoiners are not extremely happy about it.
Why do you do it? Why do you think? What motivates you to want to do that? Because I mean, it's a hard life, man. Being a contrarian against a certain community.
It's tough. The Ethereum thing is, I really think there's a financial opportunity there. I really do believe that Ethereum is way overvalued, and being sort of on top of things, I believe might help me see when the trend might change, because it's not going to stay like that forever. At some point, it's going to have to change. So being involved in the way because people always ask me like, how do you stay up to date? You don't think that it's, you don't even think it's interesting. So how do you stay up to date with those things enough to tweet about it at all? And I mean, I don't have to anymore because people are sending me stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay, so
Yeah,
you
I
got
mean,
like an inbound supply of all
yeah,
this.
I don't have to do like anything. People on a lot of Ethereum people too, who are frustrated with whatever thing, they would just send me, look at this, and then all you have to do is like understand what's going on and then package it in a way that people can understand what I'm talking about.
Makes sense.
So that's not as much work as people seem to think. And you get to keep up to date with things almost for free, which is great. So yeah.
That's kind of what happened with me with Bitcoin Cash. I started getting DMs on Twitter about like stupid things Roger would say, or like RBTC threads that were ridiculous. And, for a while I was just obsessed with like fighting against Roger Ver because I really felt like it was a threat to Bitcoin. And I didn't like that he continued to have his reputation in the space. And like I was in private chat rooms with him and stuff. And just like, can't believe people were defending him when he's doing all this crazy stuff to Bitcoin. So I was just constantly tweeting about Bitcoin Cash, and I've lately tapered it down a bit. Like probably 90% of my tweets have nothing to do with Bitcoin Cash now, thankfully.
Yeah.
Even my first few episodes of the podcast eventually would just come back to me like having a therapy session about Bitcoin Cash and Roger Ver.
Yeah.
I've noticed that you used to be more against that too, but now you've moved to Ethereum. So like, do you just feel like BCH is just not as much of a threat anymore, and now you just moved on to Ethereum because that's...
I don't think that any of them are threats at all. Actually, I don't see a threat. I see an opportunity. Really, again, I think it's extremely overvalued and like really in a very, very significant way because it just doesn't have. I think everything is overvalued, but the thing is, Ethereum doesn't really have an advantage, in my opinion, over any of the others. On the contrary, it has a lot of selling pressure going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a lot of expenditure that just doesn't make sense. So I think it's pretty well positioned to be one of the worst performing assets of the next year or two. And even if all assets perform very well, then still I think that Ethereum will not perform as good as the rest. So yeah, I just see an opportunity there because I can't, I don't know if things are going to rally or not and when. But what I do know is that Ethereum just isn't positioned to take advantage of pretty much any situation. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think I agree with you there. I can see a scenario, like I can see multiple different scenarios, and in one of them, ETH can go to $5,000.
I mean, it's possible.
Anything is possible.
It's possible, yeah. But I think it's one of the least likely scenarios.
Yeah. And as long as you're like using stops and stuff, you're not
Sure.
going to get completely destroyed on your shorts.
Sure. And we have healthcare, so what's the worst that could happen, right?
Like that's the other thing too, is like most people, when they get an idea of a trade, they don't know how to manage the risk and they don't know how to get out of the trade. So they just end up just either getting liquidated or selling at the bottom or just completely mismanaging the trade. So if you're thinking about these things as trades and you don't have an exit strategy, just don't even do it. Just buy and hold Bitcoin. Just don't look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't mess with alts and stuff. Because if you don't know how to get out of the trade, you don't have an exit plan, then you're likely the casino is just going to take your money. It's set up against you.
For sure.